People are pretty bored of just having Cadbury. White chocolate is ideally not a chocolate.
Okay.
It is actually not chocolate. So what makes a chocolate is the cocoa component in it. मैदा मार के घर पे पूड़ी बना लिया. It's still better than having उस मैदे का burger.
They say that dark chocolate is healthier, so is that the case or it's just a myth?
My idea was never to create a Mars or a Cadbury.
Okay.
So have a niche brand which is very focused, but then because my dream was never to take it to 10,000 crore.
Hi Shweta, welcome to Ink Stories.
Hi Sujit, thank you for calling me.
Nice to have you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have a fellow Ascenter. You've been a part of Ascent for the last few years like me. And nice to know you are in the chocolate business. You're doing
I think confectionery is one of the things
that you do. So any starting points that you have before we start this conversation?
I was just wondering, Sujit, because I have seen your earlier podcast, and I think the kind of people and the kind of people with different turnovers that you have been featuring in your podcast, I was just wondering that, we are not there. But I was just wondering, what is it that you saw in, or you would want to get to know from me that you wanted to feature me here?
Brilliant question. Nice. That's a very nice way to remove the monster from the room when we start the conversation. See, Shweta, for me, when I started this podcast with my colleague Tintu, we did not really want कि businesses या जो guests आते हैं वो उनका 50 crore, 100 crore, 200 crore, 1000 crore का turnover. It's great. All of us aspire to get to that number. Let's be honest to ourselves. But then even if our turnovers are not as large या बड़े business हम नहीं कर रहे हैं, but then we've taken that leap of faith and we've got into business. And how we have reached there, what has been the journey, what has been the success, what has been the failures. हर कोई 100 crore तक नहीं पहुंच सकता.
Yeah.
Correct? There is only a fraction of 1, 2, 3, 5% who can reach there.
Yeah.
वो उसके ऊपर तो और भी कम हो जाता है. तो ये जो लोग जो एट द इनिशियल फेज है ना, उनका जर्नी मेरे ख्याल से लोगों को जानने में ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट रहेगा क्योंकि दैट इज़ मोर डूएबल, मोर रीचेबल. सो आई होप आई आंसर दैट क्वेश्चन ऑफ योर्स.
Yeah, as long as you think I'm worthy enough to be captured.
Happy to have you, Shweta. It's I'm sure as a lady, it's challenging to run business. You have a lot of multiple responsibilities. कितना भी हम कह ले कि नहीं, there has to be a level playing field, but there are a lot of responsibilities. So we need to start this conversation about the various challenges that you faced being a woman entrepreneur in your journey over the last many years. Okay, when did you start your business? Let's start from there.
So I see, for the initial, I would say I ideally started off in 2012, but that also because I got pushed by a friend, because I was after leaving my job and I was kind of figuring out what to do. I was in that sabbatical phase after having worked my ass off for 12 years. And
so you were working in a corporate before?
Yeah, so I in 2001 I started my work journey. Aachar. So I started this pickle business with my dad.
Okay.
For 3 years we were working. I think that is when I figured out that I have to be an entrepreneur.
Aachar.
There's nothing else that I can do about my life.
Aachar.
And there's nothing else that will give me as much happiness.
Okay.
But I also wanted to study.
Okay.
And be the black horse in the family. So then I went in between for 2 years to do my MBA, and I was thinking ki maybe I'll work for 2-3 years in a large corporate, see how large organizations work, and then I'll get back to the pickle business and scale it up there.
Which college did you study from?
So I did my MBA from NMIMS.
Narsimhanji. Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So, but then I think life had.
So you were a good
else.
student.
No, I was an average student, I would say. In my head, I would generally like to think I'm very intelligent, but my scores did not say that much.
And getting into Narsimhanji in itself is like you're amongst the, I think, top 5-10% of at least that batch. Narsimhanji getting in is not that easy. Anyways, yeah, moving ahead.
But yeah, it's okay. So I think after a while, all of that doesn't matter.
Yeah, to be honest, we realize much later in life.
हाँ,
इतना पढ़ाई जितने हम वैल्यू करते हैं उतना मैटर करता नहीं है.
हाँ, it doesn't matter. So there are people who are maybe not graduates, but with constant learning, with constant figuring out, with constant just identifying the right opportunities and working on them, timely working on them, they have made much bigger. They have created a much bigger life for themselves. And I think that when I say, I'm not comparing, but I'm generally saying that education, that too in India, is very overrated. So education is good. So for me, my idea of doing it was, I just wanted to be a black horse, and also because I just wanted to get out of my
You
house.
said education is overrated in India. Why do you say that? What makes you think like that?
That education is overrated. There's a lot of bookish knowledge floating around. I think I've been through that generation where there were no IB schools. There were no schools like, which were giving practical skills. There was no education. In my entire course of 2 years of doing my MBA, we were not taught about financial planning. We were not taught about wealth creation. We were not taught about how you should look at people. What are the things that are important? Mental health was not spoken about. There was so much competition within people that
and the comparison right from school days about marks.
Yeah, and even I think that comparison continued for 5-10 years, and I think even now, I'm sure when different batchmates meet, everyone in their mind has this question: oh, this guy is the CHRO there, how much package is he drawing? Or they would ask, and then that, okay, thank you, I sit here. So maybe that is there.
Yeah.
That I think that just comes from being from a B school. So that is very B school centric. I don't know if it is with others, but I think it is just that it's a different pleasure maybe in people's mind when they see that okay, out of the average of the class, they are doing better. So that thing is there, but so that's why I say that education is very overrated, because
I agree. I mean, I also am aligned to your thought that education is definitely overrated, and it has a space, but then we need to be mindful and careful of that.
What we need to focus on is learning.
Right.
Learning and imbibing.
So getting back to your journey, like how did you face the challenges that you were talking to me earlier?
2012, then I left my corporate job, and I was like figuring out what to do, and that is when and I was like really good at chocolates, and I identified with that product, and one of my friends told me, okay, when are you going to start a business? So I was contemplating between a baby clothing brand or chocolates, and this one just landed. So a bulk corporate order just landed in my lap.
Okay.
So that is when my, I would say, laziness or that stagnation, inertia broke.
Okay.
Because I was like, I think I was really tired after working for 12 years. So, so that is how it started.
Okay. So how has been the journey? I mean, you picked chocolate by I would say luck. I mean, it just happened to you. That's what you said. So chocolate as an industry is very big. It's large. So have you ever thought of building a brand around chocolates, or it's been like corporate gifting? Or what's been your take on this?
So we had a brand. So we came up with this name, Adler's Den, which is a B2B brand right now. So we operate in this B2B space. And I think that gave us a comfort somewhere that B2B sales is happening, so maybe I don't need to work much on creating a retail brand around it.
When I mentioned a brand, I meant a retail brand. Like for us, it's like the Mars, the Cadbury's, the Hershey's. So these brands are like so strong, and they're all international. And I was reading that these brands are over 100 years old, and there are not many big brands that have come in the last 30-40 years. So what have been the challenges that why can't a new age brand or a new entrepreneur who starts off, why is it that they can't think of becoming the next Cadbury's or the next Hershey's of the world?
So Sujit, what I think is the time for huge brands like Unilever, P&G, it's gone. So though Cadbury's and Mars are selling well, Lindt is there, Mars is there, Cadbury's is there, but I think the time is very disruptive.
Okay.
And, eventually, like Unilever had to acquire Minimalist because it was capturing a large share of their market. Beardo got acquired by Marico.
Right.
You have multiple such stories of
Right.
smaller brands which
Right.
are, breaking and, just capturing one niche is being acquired by a bigger giant. I think because as you scale up, innovation is compromised. Because it takes their process for innovation is much bigger.
Okay.
So my idea was to have a niche brand. My idea was never to create a Mars or a Cadbury.
Okay.
So have a niche brand which is very focused, but then because my dream was never to take it to 10,000 crores. So my dream has been to just cater to this niche category, and I think being a foodie, my dream has always been to feed good food to people.
So how easy is it to start a chocolate business?
So there are some businesses which require a lot of capital investment. There are some businesses which don't require a capital investment. So if I say maybe, and when I say capital investment, maybe I'm talking about the fixed plant and machinery cost.
Right.
Is what I think. There are service businesses where people start with zero investment.
Right.
There are product businesses where you can do without bigger plant and machinery, where people start from with low investment. So I would say whichever business, if money is not your is not the parameter which is stopping you from getting into that business, then it is easy to start a business as long as you can get your first client.
So there can be a lot of contract manufacturing also in the chocolates business, right?
There is, I think all the bigger brands are getting, in fact, I think Cadbury's is also getting their stuff made
contract
somewhere else
manufacturing.
from smaller
So what is the difference between a chocolate that is manufactured from a brand like Adler's Den compared to something that comes from Cadbury's? Is it of a similar quality? They are better, you guys are better. How would you rate yourself?
So we are different. I would not say better.
I mean, the quality of ingredients or stuff like that.
So I will not be able to frankly quantify what is the quality of ingredient being used in Cadbury's. But I think people are pretty bored of just having Cadbury.
Okay.
So that is the reason a lot of other, if you see not just in India, even abroad, there are a lot of artisanal brands which have come up. In fact, what is this kunafa bar, viral kunafa bar?
Yeah.
People were just bored of plain milk chocolate and dark chocolate. They want variety. So I think that is why there's a lot of, I would say, there has been a lot of coming up.
So
of
people are willing to
brands.
experiment. They want new things. They've got this disposable income.
They are bored of not being given choices. They want choices. I think our customers want choices.
So you are like in this chocolate space for a while. So when you say white chocolate, normal chocolate, dark chocolate, so what is the difference? How does a layman like me understand?
So white chocolate is ideally not a chocolate.
Okay.
It is actually not chocolate. So what makes a chocolate is the cocoa component in it.
Okay.
So when that cocoa component is not there, it is ideally not a chocolate. It's just called chocolate.
Then what is white chocolate?
White chocolate is just milk powder and maybe cocoa butter and some sugar.
Oh.
But the cocoa powder content that is there, if that is not there, so white chocolate I would call it, it's a pseudo chocolate.
Okay.
It's been called, but then it's actually not.
But actually it doesn't contain cocoa, and so it's not a chocolate.
So it's
and
not,
the difference
it's technically not a chocolate.
Technically not a chocolate. But
It's
then it's
called
sold as a chocolate.
It's technically not a chocolate. So milk is where the percentage of cocoa is lesser, cocoa mass is lesser, up to 35%, and dark is where the cocoa mass content is higher, and maybe sugar and milk is comparable.
So what sells more, dark chocolate or?
Different markets, frankly. We have our unit in Delhi also, and for all the gifting that we have been doing, I think most of the clients have been going for preferably milk or something which is lesser dark. Wherein in Bombay, we have seen a different trend. So we have one unit in Delhi and one in Bombay. So Bombay people have been going for dark.
Okay. But they say that dark chocolate is healthier. So is that the case or it's just a myth?
So they say dark chocolate is healthier because it has antioxidants. Cocoa in itself has antioxidants, but so have a lot of other, so do a lot of other food products have. So I think anything which is had in moderation is good as long as it is had in moderation. So even dark chocolate, if you're having too much, I would not say that. Being in the industry, I would still say that anything is good as long as it's had in moderation.
So any myths you want to break about the chocolate or the food industry that normal people like us are not aware of?
I think we always get really appealed by beautiful looking food. I would say anyone who is really attracted by that beautiful looking cheesecake or a macaroon or anything else or a pie, just stop, pause for a while and look at what you're eating. Because so as a policy, and me also being a food technologist and a chocolatier, I would I have studied food very deeply, and personally as a as a principle, we would not use any food color anywhere
Okay.
in none of our creations.
So as a layman, how would I understand whether this food is something that I need to like check? I mean,
You
क्या
need to
check
just
करना
check
है?
the ingredients behind.
So I'm like
Thankfully.
walking. I don't want to take any brand name of any brands. I walk into a restaurant and I order for a cake. So something comes. How would I be able to check कि ये ढंग का है नहीं है? ये मैं खा सकता हूँ. I can only trust the brand. So
I'll say this at the risk of industry coming and bashing me up, because I belong to the food industry.
okay.
But I would say any ingredients where you think that the source is not source of material has gone through multiple layers of processing, I think you should avoid that food.
Okay.
So like for me personally, I don't eat whipped cream at all, any form.
Okay. Multiple process हो तो avoid करो is what you're
हाँ,
trying to say.
हाँ.
Okay. Okay.
So something which is मैदा मार के घर पे पूड़ी बना लिया, it's still better than having उस मैदे का burger which is made I don't know how many months back or days back in somewhere else and goes through so much longer
Shelf life, yeah.
and temperature variation
True.
and whatever they add to it to stop it from getting spoiled. If you see any food which is good for your health, it'll get spoiled faster. Any food which gets spoiled later, but like
Or takes longer, yeah.
takes longer, you should stay away from that food.
Interesting. That's a nice way of putting
Except the dry ones.
Like?
Because our spices,
Okay.
are I think we have a lot of stuff, maybe peanuts or cashews or raisins or nuts,
वो तो-
whatever. So those are the dry ones. I'm not talking about the unprocessed one. I'm talking about the processed ones.
Processed one.
So then you should stay away from that food.
Great. Great. Yeah, nice. Interesting insights. Now, a little bit about your life and your journey. So, where does Shweta want to take her business? What's your
So my
Dream.
see, when I started Adler's, and I had this thing that I because I have been a curator
okay?
and I like creating new recipes. I really wanted to take actually tell the world that boss, try this, and you'll really like it. In fact, even in our gift packs now, whenever our gifts goes, and I think one of the biggest rewards is when the client calls and says, Shweta, wo na maza aa gaya aapke." I think that was the idea.
But
Frankly,
in
for
terms
me,
of
I think I'm coming to your question. Frankly, for me, I think I had in mind a number that I wanted to reach in terms of, but I would say this is a mistake I made in my journey as an entrepreneur, which I'm realizing now after being a part of Ascent and being, through, having spoken to a couple of entrepreneurs, that I did not create a proper vision for the business. I was just being in the flow. I was like, okay, one B2B order, bulk order, chalo aa gaya. Next pe jaate hain. Then, so I have been moving in some direction, but I think I could have given a better direction to what I want to do with Adler's and maybe define it better.
so when you look back, what are those things that you would like to highlight for someone to introspect when they are going to be starting their business and do it differently. मैं ये जैसे आपने अभी बताया, I was moving but the direction could have been different. I was doing but it could have been better. Now
my
in
planning
hindsight,
could have been better, maybe,
yes.
because I realized that I'm making goals, but I'm not making a plan to achieve those goals.
Okay. You mean to say that the goal is defined, but the path to reach that goal is not defined?
Yes, and I think that has been my biggest, I would say, what would I say? I think it has stalled.
That held you back from what you could have achieved.
Yes. So, because defining a goal is easier. Defining that path and sticking to that path is what will make all the difference.
Right. And some wise men have said that, though the context is idea is 1% and 99% is execution, I think that holds true for a goal as well. Goal is just 1% of the
so execution was happening in our case. So we were executing. We have been growing year on year. We grew, double during COVID. And people have been liking us. We have been getting a lot of corporate referrals from here and there. But I think still, somewhere that itch in my heart is there when I see that, when I reflect back on all of these years of entrepreneurship, and I see that, oh God, I could have just done it differently. So that itch is there in my heart, and I want to just, change that. I think it's a lot to do with our own mental barriers also. I realized in the initial years of my journey, I was penny wise, pound foolish. I have acted like that multiple times.
Tell me more.
I would say just, maybe just when it just comes to hiring the right talent, maybe. I would think, why should I pay so much? And maybe थोड़े में कम में काम हो जाएगा. So maybe not hiring the right marketing agency for social media at the right time. Maybe not. So there are multiple stages where I acted out of being penny wise, pound foolish. So not hiring the right marketing agency at the right time, not, maybe hiring the right coach for myself, or, someone to get into to, help me figure out a direction. Maybe I thought I'll just do it myself. This bubble of, being able to do it myself, because I think in my head, I would always think that I'm too intelligent. I'll figure it out. I'll do it myself.
I'll cut corners here. I'll do that. I'll manage.
I'll cut corners. And that way I'll also led to a lot of mental and physical exhaustion for me. So there was a stage in my career within this. In fact, when COVID happens, I was really happy. Thank God I got a 2-month break. So we lost a lot of orders due to COVID, and there was a lot of huge, monetary loss also. And we got back after 2 years because we are in food industry, and because we have pivoted to doing a lot of other things also. We just don't do chocolates; we do a lot of flavored nuts, berries, and all. Yes. So we make some 200 odd items.
Nice.
Which goes in this gifting sphere.
Right.
But for me, it was like, thank God I get that break for myself, and that was a shocker for me. I started this business because I wanted to do this business, and I'm telling myself, thank God I don't have work right now because I get to get a break.
Have you ever been overworked?
A lot of times.
Okay.
A lot of times. So it's only in the last 2 years that I've started hiring people properly, because we were always understaffed. We were always understaffed, and I realized that bandwidth that I get for myself, that bandwidth I was missing. For me to have my time to think, to grow, because I realize as an entrepreneur, I need to have my free time defined when I'm just thinking, or maybe just relaxing my mind. That thing was missing. For me as an entrepreneur, my picture was someone's really like working hard, reaches office at 9 a.m. in the office, and comes back late. My relationship with my daughter got hampered because of this. It got strained because of this. She would not share things with me, and she's at a tender age.
I'm sure.
Where so as an entrepreneur or as a parent, I would say there are things that we need to take care of.
Were you ever depressed?
I've been depressed. They have been. I think I have had a tendency of being in depression, which got realized, I think I realized that much later after I underwent a therapy session. That is when I realized that, this was depression. Okay. I was just thinking maybe I'm just feeling low, I'll be okay. And there were cycles to it. So there were cycles of 15-20 days where I would feel really low and I would just, lie down, not want to do anything, not talk. But then I realized, so when I went through therapy, I realized that, these are signs of depression.
Mm.
So because I always came out of it, so I thought maybe it
So
is.
therapy helped you.
Therapy helped me.
Mm.
Therapy helped me identify that this is depression.
Mm.
I think that identification is also very important. So
Yeah.
now when I'm going into that loop, I know that, boss, I need to get out. I need to just go out, maybe sit in a park, or maybe just talk to someone, go to a friend's place, or travel. Do something that nurtures my soul.
Yeah.
So I think this, in all of this, entrepreneurial journey, I was not doing things that were also nurturing my soul because I thought my business is nurturing my soul. But it doesn't happen like that.
Right. They are two separate entities.
No, so business is very close to me because I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but there are a lot of other things that make my life. It is not just business that makes my life.
Do you ever regret being an entrepreneur?
No, I never.
Never.
Did. I never. So for initial, I would say, when it came to money, for initial 5-6, so I would say my 5-6 years in my work, I was like very just taking because motherhood happened to me then. My child was small, and I was like very easygoing. जो आता था मैं कर लेती थी, and my actual journey I would say would start around 2016-17 when I really took it seriously. But otherwise, other than that, I was just like figuring out maybe. And in that duration, I had multiple times I had this question that what if I was continuing my corporate job? मेरी salary तो अभी तो 7 figures में हो जाती. So a lot of those questions always
Correct.
kept on coming. Because when I left my corporate job, my salary was in 7 figures. But फिर उसके बाद छोड़ के it was a big question mark always. Because I see, people, you see your peers doing well in life and you feel happy for them. But at the same time, there's a question in the backdrop that
Question that you ask yourself.
What have I done for my life?
Self-doubt.
It's that self-doubt.
Yeah.
I think self-doubt is the biggest killer.
Yeah. I can understand.
That trust within self.
Yeah. I've gone through it many a times personally, so I can understand what you're trying to say. I've had my own ups and downs, so it's a journey that we all as entrepreneurs have to travel, and I think the way it has helped me is having good friends and just having people whom you can call and tell that this is the problem that I'm facing, and someone wanting to listen. And Ascent has been a great help as well to have these people around you.
For a long time I would also think that if I'm going to watch a movie maybe or just taking out time to relax, that in my mind I would feel guilty. Oh my god, I'm not giving the time to my business. But then now I realize that taking out time for my own self, for that nourishment, like for me, my reading gives me that nourishment, traveling gives me that nourishment. So now I make sure that every month I'm making one plan where I'm going out of Bombay into a green space and just for myself.
Very nice.
And I come back rejuvenated.
Very nice. More power to you on that.
Thank you.
You mentioned something about your pickle business. And I was wondering, pickle is so much inherent to India. हम शायद हर एक घर में irrespective of the socio-economic strata, they use pickles. तो आपने कभी pickles के बारे में business pursue करने का नहीं सोचा?
No, it's been on my mind. In fact, I came to Bombay because I got married in between, and I think handling logistics and things was a little different for me at that time. So in between, my dad passed away, and that brother, that business is being handled by my brother and my mom.
Okay.
And
so that business is still there.
So my brother, sister-in-law, and my mom, they handle that business.
Okay.
But I wanted to get back to. I have been wanting that. Itch in my heart has been wanting.
That would be a nice space, and especially since you are a food technologist and you've got this background of food and you understand the space.
And also, I think also because my dream for being an entrepreneur evolved from there, and that business is very close to my heart. That product is very close to my heart.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to get back, and I think I am getting back to it now. Okay. So we are just working on completely giving a new look and feel to the brand.
Very nice.
And we will be soon entering into the space again, where we'll be feeding good pickles to people, and I hope people will be happy.
Which is your favorite pickle?
I love that hing aam ka achar. So it's a very North Indian recipe, very UP recipe, I would say.
So the reason I ask you this is I am currently having katal jackfruit
Yeah.
ka achar, and I just didn't know that jackfruit ka achar bhi exists. Katal, oh, it tastes awesome.
It tastes
I mean,
awesome.
I come from a state of jackfruits. I mean, हर घर में jackfruit होता है. I'm a Keralite. हर घर में जैकफ्रूट होता है, तो पर कभी केरला में किसी ने जैकफ्रूट का अचार नहीं बनाया.
So jackfruit का अचार is very North Indian speciality.
बिहार.
It's a UP
It's
specialty.
UP also?
It's a
Okay,
UP,
this we got from a friend who came from Bihar. So
it's a basically
we got it
UP
from-
Bihar wala
lovely it is.
speciality. Yeah. So we also make jackfruit
so
achar.
you do that?
Yeah. So I'm currently working on 2 different projects. So one is just I think we are working on which I really figured out from my just 1-2 years of introspection and journey and figuring out where I went, what I could have done better for Adler's Den to take it up further was I think we did not work on standardization of products. I think because I somewhere felt that
Tell me more when you in standardization. What exactly is that?
So as a company which makes different maybe 200 odd products, we were always focusing on, okay, this client wants this, let's do this. This client wants this, let's do this. So we would change our packaging, stickers and all to suit to the client's requirement. But I think that is not how scaling up happens. Scaling up happens when you have to define standard products so that it becomes easy to execute. So this kind of execution has been very difficult. So it would involve my personal involvement in a lot of spaces and too much of detailing.
Okay.
So once a product is standardized and you define some basic rules around packaging and how it is to be shipped and logistics and give that handout to a team, then you just have to manage production and sales, then scaling up and working. So right now what is happening with Adler's Den is for every order there is a new metrics that we have to set.
Okay.
So that takes away a lot of time.
So standardization in
Because
that
every
sense
order
is
is
very important
customized.
if you want to scale your business.
Yes, I would say standardization is very important if one has
Great,
to
yeah.
scale their business. But I'm also parallelly working into 2 other lines of business which I spoke to you about earlier. We are working on launching a health food brand
Nice.
and reviving this pickle brand. I hope I'll be able to do it soon.
All the best on that.
Yeah, thank
Great.
you.
Nice to have a conversation with you
Thank
and know about your journey, how you've been doing things. And thanks for sharing the challenges that you face and how you're trying to overcome them. More power to you. All the best. Thanks for doing this, Shweta. It's been nice knowing your journey. Very refreshing. Very, there are more people like me who are going through the struggle. So I'm not alone. Though we keep hearing that at Ascent, and it's nice to know about your journey, and really appreciate you sharing all this here. So towards the end of the podcast, we generally ask these 2 questions to our guest. One is, names that they think who could be on a show and who could share their journey. Any names that comes to your mind who could be a part of this podcast?
So I think I met this guy called Khamir Purohit in Ascent.
Okay.
In I think the last year we had this conclave, and
Okay.
that's when I met him. And I've seen him in the last 2 years, but I have also been very inspired by how he's grown his organization
Okay.
so beautifully. I think he's just so cool and calm and composed at all times, and I think I don't know what the reality is, but I think he's getting all the time in the world to do all the things he wants to do, and his business is growing simultaneously.
Very nice.
So that I find really awesome.
Nice. Would love to connect with him.
So yeah, I think you should connect with Khamir.
Yeah, I'll do that. And the last one is we usually ask our guests, how did you find the podcast? You've been doing this for the last 30 minutes with us. What's your immediate impression? What do you think?
I think the podcast is, though you feature podcasts, different people in podcasts, but I think a podcast is a bigger reflection of the person who's asking the questions.
Okay.
So how much and how well are you able to give a flow to the conversation, and how deeply you go into that matter and just get the right response. It's more about the interviewer than about the person being
How much you
interviewed.
can get out of the person?
Yes, it absolutely depends on how the person is being interviewed. So I would say that more power to you, Sujit, for
Thanks.
bringing out whatever you could bring out of me, because it's like we don't know what's there within us till the time we see a mirror.
Right.
It's like that. So I think
Right.
I always think podcasts are like that. So it is more about the power of the interviewer than of anyone else, always. And that is what makes podcasts beautiful. So because just asking the right set of questions, just knowing which prompts to give, that is very essential. You would see interviews where the depth doesn't come out. So and that is not the case here.
Thanks,
So
I
would
appreciate.
say
Thanks for your
congratulations.
time, Shweta.
Thank you.
I appreciate.
Thank you, Sujit.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.